All right, I think we got the recording going, so I'm going to go ahead and get things started here. It is almost 4:30 Mountain Time, 3:30 Pacific. So appreciate you guys being on here. For those of you that made it over the transition from the first session to the second, welcome. Good to have you here. I'm going to just do a brief introduction so we can get that out of the way, and then I'm going to jump into what we like to call eXp Explained. And I'll get more into that here in just a little bit. If we have guests on tonight, we welcome you. Thank you so much for being here, especially the day before Thanksgiving. That's pretty extraordinary. Just really want to say, hope you guys have an awesome Thanksgiving with your families, wherever that might be. I'm going to hang out here in beautiful Idaho for a few more days, and then I'm going to take my new bride to Playa del Carmen, Mexico on Monday next week. We're going to be down there till the 9th of December with our toes in the sand and reading books and getting our vitamin D on. So looking forward to that. That's my bride there, Jennifer. And those of you that were here earlier, I shared just a little bit. Interesting story. We actually met when I was 13 in Fort Worth, Texas. Her dad was in the Air Force. And I think, Samantha, you're going to be catching that door there. Okay, good. Um, her dad was in the Air Force, and I remember her a little bit, but my dad moved us from Fort Worth to Minneapolis, Minnesota when I was 13. So I barely got to know her, but she told me that she said she was so impressed with me at 12 years of age before we got in the moving truck and moved to the, Yankeeville, I call it, up north. Jennifer said that I came by her house and I gave every member of her family a little card that basically said, how much I appreciated them. And I have a really bad memory for long-term. My long-term memory is not that great, but she said she was so impressed. And then my dad ended up, long story, but we ended up moving back to Texas to a different city. And then we ended up back in the same city that I would have been in had we never left. And so I literally had grown about 2.5 feet in that period of time. My voice was gone from a soprano down to about a tenor. And I had a few more facial hairs, and none of the kids that I grew up with even knew who I was because I was so tall and I sounded like a Yankee. I didn't sound like a Southerner anymore because I lost my accent up there in Minnesota. I got so sick and tired of kids teasing me that I worked on it every day when I came home from school, literally looking in the mirror and watching, why do I say downtown instead of downtown? And so I worked on that and I lost my accent. Now I wish I wouldn't have lost my accent, but anyway, it was a weird deal. But this little blonde remembered me, and we started dating when I was 17 years of age and she was 16. We fell madly in love and we almost pulled the plug in 1980. We almost got married. We discussed it. We were so in love, but we ended up going to the school instead. She went to a different college than I did. That's another story for another day. And we ended up just going different routes. She ended up, meeting this boy up in Idaho and where she was going to school, and they ended up getting married. And then I met this other little gal from Idaho, actually, kind of weird. Married her, and then unfortunately, sadly, like I guess so many marriages in COVID, I came home to a letter on the kitchen counter that said, I think it's time for us to go our separate ways. And on a whim, I was just one of these guys. I was in my late 50s and I thought the last thing I want to do for the next 5 years is swipe right. I just couldn't see myself joining these dating apps. I'd never had been in one of those and I couldn't see, but I had a lot of single friends that told me that they spent half their day swiping right, looking at all these profiles. And I thought, if there's anybody that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, who would it be? And I thought of her and I reached out, and long story short, we reconnected, fell back in love, and got married in June of last year. So we've been married now for 17 months. And I ended up moving from Scottsdale, Arizona, where I'd lived for 5 years and lived in Arizona for about 15 years, and moved up here to Idaho Falls because Jennifer has two of her daughters that live here, and six of her 14 grandkids. So I've got 5 children. Those are my babies down there, along with some of their plus ones or their spouses, and then our 4 adorable grandchildren. My youngest daughter, Savannah, is pregnant now with our 5th grandchild, and she will be having that little baby boy in March of next year. So we're super excited about that. So between Jennifer and I, we've got 9 kids, and we've got soon to be 19 grandchildren. She became a realtor this year, so we're a husband-wife team here in Eastern Idaho. And in fact, we just closed on a beautiful new build today, $635,000 new build. It's gorgeous. We're so happy for our friends in California that are moving out here into that beautiful home next week. I started off like a lot of people. I went to college. I got a degree in business management. I started off in pre-med. I wanted to be a chiropractor. And when I started taking classes like inorganic chemistry and zoology, I quickly decided that medicine and becoming a chiropractor was not in my future, because I hated those classes. And I really had a hard time with the periodical table, memorizing all those dang things. And so I just said, I'll go try finance. And I got into the finance department, and that was a disaster. I couldn't stand it. Even though I love numbers, I just couldn't stand the thought of being in a cubicle for the rest of my life crunching numbers. So I got into the business side on the marketing side, and that's where I found my happy place, because I do have the gift of gab. I consider myself a tiny bit charming sometimes, can be a butthead as well, but I went ahead and got into marketing and started off with Clairol. So I literally sold, Loving Care, Miss Clairol, Ultress, condition shampoo, herbal essence, all those brands that all of you are familiar with, I'm sure. Never saw myself getting a private education and selling hair color for a living, but that's exactly what happened after I graduated from college. And then about 14 months after I started my career, this fellow came up to me. Well, let me back up. I got a promotion after 1 year with Clairol, and they moved me back to Salt Lake. I was in Northern California, Concord, California, for those of you that know where that is. And I had all of the East Bay and Northern California was my territory with Clairol. And then they promoted me and said, I think they just sent me back to Utah because they needed someone that knew the LDS community, and I did. And so I said, sure, I'll take it. They paid me a whole lot more money, gave me a better company car, and thought, wow, this is great. So they paid for my move, put our cars in the truck and all that, and went back to Salt Lake and started selling for Clairol there. And I was literally in a little drugstore doing some merchandising on my products, and a gentleman tapped me on the shoulder and said, are you Tony Hughes? And I said, yeah, who are you? And he said, my name's Charlie Connect. I'm the regional manager for Revlon Cosmetics, and you have a really good reputation in town, and I want to take you to lunch and talk to you about coming to work for Revlon. And I said, oh, I'm so flattered. Thank you. And no, I just got a promotion with Clairol, and I'm really happy where I am. And he said, well, I can offer you at least $15,000 more in salary. I can definitely get you a better car, better benefits package, 401k, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, when we going to lunch? And so we went to lunch, and 2 weeks later, I was selling lipstick and nail polish. So I went from selling hair color to lipstick and nail polish and foundation and eyeliner. And I still have these nightmares. I still can remember like the numbers on top of the nail polish. Like 55 was Revlon red and 61 was passion pink. And it's kind of crazy that 40 years later, I still remember that stuff. But so then I always like to say I started off my career working with beautiful women. And then my life went to the dogs and cats. I started working for the Iams Pet Food Company, and I spent 8 years of my life selling premium, what I called yuppie puppy food, $40 a bag. Now it's like $54 for a 40-pound bag. And so I sold dog and cat food for 8 years. I was a veterinary sales manager there. And then the entrepreneurial bug hit, and it's a long story. We don't have time for it tonight, but I knew that I had to find something that allowed me to make a little bit of money on a whole lot of stuff. And it really was an epiphany that I had when I was in South Sioux City watching our canned cat food go by me at 600 cans a minute, thinking that the person that owned this company is making a little bit of money on all those cans of cat food. So I ended up actually getting involved part-time in the direct selling industry. I had 5 kids at the time. My oldest was 13. My youngest was 3. For those of you that have never been in network marketing, that was an industry that I thought belonged to people that couldn't get a college education. They weren't that bright. They just were basically scraping the barrel. And I started going to these meetings, and I met people that didn't have a college degree. They weren't that handsome. They didn't seem that bright, but they were making like $65,000 a month. And I'm like, what the heck? So I went ahead and got involved in that industry, my little side hustle, and I sucked royal. I was so bad. For 3 years and 2 months, I did not make a single penny in network marketing because I didn't understand what I was doing. And I got my first check in February of 1999 for $7.87, I believe it was. I still have a copy of it today. And that told me that I could make money if I just did certain things. And I went on to grow that into millions of dollars in income. And I retired at a very young age, thanks to that industry. It took my 5 children all around the world, things that I only dreamt about doing when I was a kid, because my parents didn't have 2 nickels to rub together when I was a kid. They were very, just a very modest family. There were times when they were on welfare. And I remember one time my mom basically told us to lie and said, go down the street and ask the neighbors for eggs. So just tell them that I need some eggs to make a cake. Well, she needed eggs to feed us because we didn't have any food in the refrigerator. So my brother went down one side of the street. I went down the other side of the street, knocking on doors, asking our neighbors for eggs. So I have a little bit of knowledge of what it's like to be poor. In fact, we were so poor at one point that we were just po because we couldn't afford the OR. So we were just po folks. And, and I really got to a point where in my side hustle that I gotta figure this out, because if other people can make money in this business, I should be able to make money. I'm college educated. I've got a great work ethic. I'm hungry. And eventually I finally started reading and just educating myself, just like we do in real estate. And to me, my business, or my network marketing life for almost 20 years was literally my parallel universe. And it was my preparation for real estate. I built a team from scratch of over 25,000 independent contractors, made about $4.5 million, and just lived the life of a rock star, honestly, for a number of years. And then my friend called me up. She owned Keller Williams in Michigan, and she said, Tony, I know that you don't really want a job. You haven't had a job forever, but there's a really good opportunity in Scottsdale, Arizona. At the time, I was living in Fort Worth. We moved from Arizona to Fort Worth, Texas for a year or two because I always wanted to go back home. It wasn't the same when I went back. And so I was ready to go back to Arizona anyway. And I said, Wendy, why in the world would anybody hire me? She wanted me to interview for a CEO team leader role at Keller Williams. It turned out it was the biggest Keller Williams in the state of Arizona. Why would anybody hire me? I don't have a real estate license. I don't know anything about real estate other than the homes that I've sold myself. And she said, she said something that I'll never forget. She said, in this role, it requires leadership, and you're a great leader, and they would love to talk to you. And I thought, what the heck? I hadn't used my resume since 1991. It had been almost 20 years. And I thought, what do I have to lose? So I went ahead and dusted off my resume, spruced it up a little bit, updated it, sent it in. Long story short, between Skype interviews from Fort Worth to Scottsdale, I was hired to be the CEO team leader for Keller Williams Arizona Realty in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I took that franchise from 297 agents to 404 agents in 20 months. I broke every record in the Southwest region with KW. And I'm not saying all this to brag. I'm just saying kind of a credentialing my experience just a little bit so that when we get into the rest of the presentation, you'll understand. But I literally went to my first convention with Keller Williams, and I had to buy a separate suitcase. I had no idea that there was an award ceremony. And when I got to the award ceremony, they just kept calling my name. And I'd go up and get a trophy, come back, call my name, go up, get a trophy, come back. Because I really did have an extraordinary year. I recruited 180 agents my first year with KW. I had the highest net retention. I brought in that Gary Keller had never taught his people, and that came from my years of leading, tens of thousands of people in network marketing. And so I was able to come in with some different kind of thinking, and we just blew it up. We blew up our volume. We blew up our transactions. We had the highest profit, the highest profit share. We had the highest gross recruiting, the highest net agent retention. Things were going great. Then they sent me over to another KW because it was a mess. And so I went over there for 14 months, got it profitable, cleaned it up. Then they sent me to another one. And I was over there when this gentleman named Rob Flick called me up and asked me to go play golf with him. I'd never met him before, but I knew who he was. And he is the one that actually shared this opportunity with me. And I always like to share, I keep them right here, that this is literally the scratch paper that Rob drew out the eXp opportunity for me. And it was on an all-pro carpet cleaning scratch paper. And that's literally how I learned about the eXp opportunity. I promise I'll do a little better than scratch paper tonight, guys. So let's go ahead and get into it. So Glenn Sanford is our founder, former KW agent. One of the fun facts about Glenn is he's got a higher IQ than Albert Einstein. He's a wicked smart guy. 2008 came along, market crashed. Glenn had 3 offices. Nobody was coming into those offices. And that's when he put his Einstein cap on and said, how about if we start the first virtual brokerage that the world's ever seen? And that's what he did. And I was at a meeting. I hosted Glenn in January of 2020 before COVID brought down the world. And I remember him telling the story, standing there in Scottsdale, about how he literally told his staff, we're going to start our own brokerage. It's going to be virtual. I want you to, take all your stuff home. We're going to shut the offices down. And if this thing works, we're all going to get rich. And if it doesn't, we're all going to get a new gig. And that's literally how the company got started in 2009. Our company has exploded. In January 1st of 2016, we had about 700 agents. When I started in June of 2019, we had 17,000 agents. Now I need to update this slide. We have over 86,000 agents now. We're the fastest growing real estate company in the world, in the history of real estate. We also are the #1 independent brokerage in the world. And we're soon to be the #1 brokerage, period. We will pass up Keller Williams in the next couple of years, God willing, and the creek don't rise, and we will be the largest brokerage in the world, because our model is the Amazon of real estate. Is shaking up this industry. It's the greatest disruptor since Gary Keller introduced Keller Williams in 1983 in Austin, Texas. Glenn Sanford came along, was mentored by Gary Keller and others, and started his own thing. And now he's the greatest disruptor that this industry has known since 1983, and the company has just exploded. A little bit of our numbers. Remember, 2020 and 2021, 2 back-to-back 100-year pandemic years. The world was falling apart. Businesses were being shuttered. You all know the story, right? It's still going on to this day. But we've had 2 of the biggest years of any company ever. When all of our competitors were going backwards and losing money, eXp just blew it up. So our agent growth was 72% last year. We increased our transaction size by 86%. We more than doubled our volume and our revenue. And again, that was in a pretty tough year. This year is no exception. We're also breaking records this year. If you've looked at our NASDAQ reports, our publicly traded reports, you see that we're a very profitable real estate company. Our international growth is incredible as well. When I started, we were in the United States in 3 of the 10 provinces of Canada. Today, we're in 9 of the 10 provinces of Canada. We've added 23 countries. Just opened Poland, I believe. We're in Dubai. We're all over the world, and we're going to continue opening countries, as we go along. So we love this because the eXp, as you'll hear from our presentation tonight, we are a publicly traded company, and we, the agents, are shareholders in the company. And we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. So we like to see that growth, because the more we grow around the world, the better that is for our stock. And because we all own stock in the company, that's how we all can become very, very wealthy. And we've already created over 700 millionaires just from the sale of stock over the last couple of years. So it's been a pretty extraordinary story, really, to watch. As a businessman, I like reading books, and I like reading magazines or blogs or whatever about successful stories, business stories. And eXp is one of the most successful stories that I've ever seen. And I'm right in the middle of it. I'm being a part of it. And I'm really excited 3.5 years now into this. And I feel like it's just, we're literally just getting started. This slide really sums it up. The old world, I remember as a kid going with my mom to Kmart. I don't think they exist anymore, maybe a few, but we always looked for that little blue light so we could go find out what the blue light special was. And, you look at companies like Blockbuster. I remember driving down with my kids, Friday night, Saturday night, getting there early so that we could get those videos, right? They don't exist anymore. Thanks to these cloud-based companies, Netflix, Amazon. We used to whistle in downtown New York and hail a cab. Today, I just go to my smartphone, this little guy right here, and I push a couple buttons, and I have my own personal chauffeur show up in a nice car, and smells good, looks good, is safe, right? Airbnb, largest hospitality company in the world, they don't even own a hotel. They put a huge dent. So these cloud-based companies have really revolutionized the way we live, and eXp is revolutionizing the way real estate is done, particularly when it comes to the compensation for realtors. And we're going to get into that tonight, because if you can wipe out all the overhead from brick and mortar and do it virtually online, think about the money that can be reinvested into the agent, which can then be reinvested into the client, which can provide a greater experience. And so it's just a snowball effect that just keeps us rolling. So our business model is obviously cloud-based. You can work your business anywhere. In about a week, I'll be on the beaches of Playa del Carmen, Mexico. And literally, if I have listings or closings, I can literally conduct anything from my laptop anywhere around the world. If I'm at the bottom of the Eiffel Tower, if I'm in Bogota, Colombia, it doesn't matter where, Mexico City, I can always access my brokers. I can always access anything that I need, documents, anything, that I need to close. I don't need a brick and mortar office to go into, because it's all online. And we're going to show you a little bit about that tonight. The training that we get at eXp is second to none. When I was at Keller Williams, 3 of them, remember, I was the CEO team leader for 3 of the largest franchises in the state of Arizona. And we used to tout that we were a training company that also sold real estate. And I thought that Keller Williams did a great job. But I literally, when I started KW, I didn't have any gray hair. I really had dark hair like Andrew. I can see I look like you about 5 years ago. And KW really took the life out of me. Honestly, it made me an old man. It sucked the life out of me. I'd never been in a cube in a working space like that in my entire career. They paid me outrageous amount of money for doing what I did, but it was not a happy time for me. It was the toughest thing for me to get my agents to come in for 1 hour to hear an expert give a training on farming, or to hear an expert give a training on social media. It was so hard to get agents to come into the office. Now we don't have to go into the office. When I started 3.5 years ago at eXp, we had 20 hours a week. We touted 20 hours a week of live training. I'm like, how do you do 20 hours a week of live training? I couldn't get agents to come in for 1 hour a week of live training. But when I found out about the virtual platform, it made total sense. Oh, they can stay in their pajamas and go to these trainings. They don't have to get in their car and drive down the office. Brilliant. Well, that's quadrupled in the last 3.5 years now. We now have 80 hours a week of live training. Let me multiply that times 4 weeks. That's over 320 hours a month, you guys, in training. If you fail in this industry, it certainly will not be because of a lack of training if you're with eXp. That's for sure. If you want to know how to buy and sell houses with cryptocurrency, we have trainings on that, although that's probably not a great thing right now because of what's been happening in that space. So, but training is there for anybody that wants it. All right, the eXp Metaverse. Glenn Sanford found a company a number of years ago called Virbela. That starts with a V like victory, Virbela. You can go check them out online, virbela.com. He used their software for a couple of years, and then he ended up buying the company for millions of dollars. And I just want to show you guys just a little snippet. This is literally off of my Apple MacBook Pro. That's me. I made my little avatar. You make a little avatar. I made it my high school weight, so I'm really skinny. I'm wearing the same shirt as my avatar, so that's cool. And you just literally move around. And I wasn't a gamer at all. My kids all are, but I just never did that. But I figured this out in about 2 minutes. So it's super easy. Just go up there and click on that go-to button. You want to go see a training, you just click on main auditorium, give it just a couple seconds, and your avatar will literally teleport, just like Star Trek. It'll teleport into the main auditorium. There we are. And you can see a lady up there sitting in the nosebleed section. But it really doesn't matter where you are in our auditorium. I've been in this auditorium when there's been over 1,600 people in this same room, and nobody got COVID because we were all in our own homes in this virtual auditorium. You can blow up the screens right there at the top. There's a little screen zoom so that it really doesn't matter where you're sitting in the auditorium. Every seat is a perfect seat because you can see the presenters, their PowerPoints or what have you right there on the screen. So you want to go see your broker, super easy. Just go down to this little thing that says broker state rooms, click on the state that you live in, and within just a few seconds, you will be in the broker's office. No need to get in your car and pay $4 a gallon for gasoline. Here I am in my broker's office. We have a little thing over there that's blue. You just put your cursor on it, click on it, and that will give you a little number, like a little ticket machine. And within a few seconds, the broker will pull you back, and you just hit that little mute button in the bottom left-hand corner, and you can communicate with your broker team or anybody in our virtual world. you have some technology problems, your computer's acting up, we've got a whole geek squad at eXp. They can literally tap into your computer remotely, fix whatever's wrong with it, and get you back to business. You don't need to drive across town to go see your tech guy at your brokerage, because it's all done right here from the comfort of your home through our Virbela platform. So we're the first in the world to have this. We're the only ones in the world to have this. And I got to tell you, this is our secret sauce. This is what's causing eXp to create so many millionaires and to have this explosive growth, because we're not wasting time. We're efficient in every minute of every single day. We don't waste time going back and forth to brick and mortar. Having ran 3 adult daycare businesses with Keller Williams, which is really what it turned out to be, I saw what happened in the office. These kids would come in, or older people would come in, they'd BS at the bullpen, and I'd have to go out there with my, size 13 foot and my 6'4", 240-pound frame and kick them all out and say, get out there. Get out there. That's where the clients are. They're not in here. You guys are all this BS and about fishing and bowling and a bunch of crap, right? The people that are out there, they're not in the office BSing. They're out there doing. So I love the fact that we don't have a space where people can come in and BS. We have a virtual space where you can come in and get your stuff done, get all your administrative stuff done, get your training done, and get out there and service your clients. That's our Virbela and our virtual platform. Some of the bells and whistles are solutions and benefits that we get at eXp. Keep in mind, because we don't have the overhead. For those of you that have never run an office, let me tell you about my last office. My monthly rent was $35,000 a month. My overhead was $78,000 to $81,000 every single month. So we had to make at least that much money just to be able to pay our bills. And talk about stress, right? We don't have that here at eXp. We've wiped all that out. So we get one of the best CRMs that money can buy. KV Core used to be called Conversion. This does not have glitches like some of our competitors' CRMs. I won't go into that. It works perfectly, and this is where all your leads come from. It's just an amazing software. I wish I had an hour just to go through KV Core, because this is literally what generates the business for us. If you use it properly, it's like a self-generating lead machine. So I love KV Core. We don't have to pay for it. It's normally about $400 or $500 a month, and it comes here just part of our little monthly fee that we pay. We use SkySlope. Some of you are probably familiar with that. It's our broker compliance platform. It's where you upload all of your listing agreements, your purchase contracts, your addendums. This is where your brokers can review everything, make sure you're in compliance, but more importantly, make sure that you get paid when you record. And I love that, because at my former brokerage, we literally made agents drive into the office to pick up their check. And it would generally be somewhere between 3 to 7 or 8 days after they recorded. With eXp, we can literally get paid the same day we record. Title can wire the funds right into our bank account. We can go down there and pick it up or whatever, but you really don't need to. So I love SkySlope because it makes things super fast. And salespeople, as you guys know, we like to get paid right now. So it's kind of nice. Workplace and Work Chat, made by Mark Zuckerberg, Meta. He created Facebook, obviously, and this is a companion product. It is on a private platform, but it is essentially Facebook and instant messaging. It's called Workplace and Work Chat. One of the best tools I've ever seen for generating referrals. This referral platform that we have, I brought in 2 agents, a husband and wife team from Tucson, Arizona. I'll do a shout out to Ann and Eddie McKechnie down there. They've been in the business now 50 years, 25 years each. And she called me up her first week at eXp and she goes, hey, I don't know the protocol. There's a lady from Houston that says she needs a buyer agent in Tucson. I go, the protocol is hang up the freaking phone and call that agent right now. So she called that agent, ended up making a relationship with her. She went ahead and referred this client, ended up being $1 million buyer. And because of the way she took care of that client, this lady in Houston has now given Ann and Eddie 3 or 4 more different referrals. And she said, Tony, in all the years that we've been in real estate, whether it be with Coldwell Banker or Tierra Antigua or whoever they were with, we have never gotten the kind of referrals that we get here at eXp. And we certainly have never gotten the quantity of referrals that we're getting at eXp. So Workplace and Work Chat allow us to get a lot of referrals here at eXp. We love that. Now, what if you have 5 kids like I do and you just can't work at home because the kids are yelling and screaming? That's fine. Glenn Sanford signed a contract with the world's largest office rental space company called Regis, who has subsequently bought a company called Spaces. So now all eXp agents have a worldwide membership to Regis and Spaces. We literally can walk in, show them our ID number, and use all of their shared office space. They've got the wicked fast Wi-Fi, all their passwords around the world. I think they have almost 3,000 locations. I hope they have one in Cancun, Mexico. I'm sure they do. But you just go to regis.com, type in the city you're going to be in, and it'll show you all of the Regis locations. In Phoenix, Arizona, where I just moved from, we have 26 of these offices around Maricopa County. One county, 26 offices, and that's just Regis. That doesn't include all the Spaces locations. So this is a great benefit that we do not pay for. The company subsidizes this. They pay for it. It's just a freebie that we get here. So if you need a private space that has Coca-Cola machines and the best latte machines and the best vending machines and refrigerators and microwaves, and you want to meet with your buyers in a really professional space, Regis is the solution. So we don't need brick and mortar. We don't need to pay rent. This is a freebie that we get as part of our benefit package here at eXp. For the brand new agents, we have a mentor program. At KW, we used to throw you into a room with 25 other agents. You had one coach, and you had to vie for their time with these other 25 agents. Here, you get assigned to one very experienced mentor, one-on-one. They will take care of you, make sure that you get off to a very successful start. It's on the first 3 deals. There's just a little bit of a lesser split on those first 3 because we got to pay your mentor. And then after your 3rd transaction, you graduate and you go to our 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap, meaning it doesn't matter if you make $500,000 in gross commission income, you're still never going to pay the brokerage more than $16,000 a year. You go to 100% commission after you cap. You get to keep all of your money minus a small transaction fee. And then you have the opportunity to go on to Icon and generate a ton of stock, which we'll talk about in a minute. So that's our mentor program. Health insurance, this is a hard one for a lot of real estate agents. I'm actually a customer. My wife, both of us are customers of Clearwater Benefits, which is the company that eXp partnered with. And instead of paying $800 or $900 a month like we're now paying $560 a month. We're both 60 years of age or older. We get all of our generic prescriptions free of charge. We get all of our preventive maintenance, like go to see the doctor. I'm getting a colonoscopy next month, 100% covered by our insurance. So it's an amazing program, and it's available to every single eXp agent. If you want to know more about it, just go to expagenthealthcare.com. I'm not an insurance salesman, but I'm sure that website will answer most, if not all, of your questions. It's another great benefit that we get here at eXp. Marketing, that's my favorite word because that's what I got my degree in. You get 1,000 business cards when you come to eXp. You get 20 listing presentation folders that are similar in nature to this right here. This is kind of one of our folders. They've rebranded them now, so they're a little bit different. But you get 25 of those, and you get 1,000 custom business cards as well. And then in terms of all your marketing collateral, we've got an online marketing center that has over 5,000 pre-made marketing pieces, including world-class listing presentation, PowerPoint, world-class buyer's consultation, PowerPoint, and every single PNG, PDF, JPEG marketing piece that you can possibly imagine. I used to spend half my time in content creation as a marketeer. I don't have to spend any time marketing and spending time in content creation because I've got over 5,000 to choose from here with eXp's marketing center. It's pretty awesome. Signage. We know we can spend a fortune on signage. You know, those signs that go, the signs that go on the post, our open house frames, our open house signs, our writers. Thankfully, we partner with a company called Build a Sign. The company subsidizes this as well. We get all of our signage free shipping, and we get 40 to 60% off retail pricing. Again, another subsidy because we don't have brick and mortar. We don't have all that crazy overhead that 99.99% of our competition have. That's why we can get all this cool stuff and not have to pay for it or get really, really deep discounts on it because the company helps us out with that. All right, let's talk about the money now. I'm going to lose my voice, so bear with me, and I'm going to take a swig of water. Give me 1 second. Water, I promise. All right, there we go. Compensation. All right, so this is a first for the industry. Glenn Sanford, our founder, created this We started off on the penny stock exchange. For those of you that know what that is, I wish I would have got started back then. We had, hundreds of agents that had thousands and thousands of shares when it was worth 50, 60 cents a share. When I started, the stock was just over $5 a share. Now it's around 11, 12, 13. But at one point, when the company, about a year ago, when they announced that we were going to do a 2-for-1 stock split on February 16th, the stock went all the way up to $180 a share. We were trading higher than Apple at the time. And then, of course, on February 16th, we did a 2-for-1 stock split. We all got double the amount of shares, and our stock went down to $90 a share. And that's when everybody started selling their shares. That's what pushed our stock price down. But now we've added 22, 23 countries. So over time, we're going to, I'm certainly not a predictor of the future when it comes to stock, but my common sense and my business sense tells me this is a stock whose day is yet to come and will continue to increase in value over time. Now we're on the NASDAQ. Our moniker, a ticker symbol there is EXPI. Anything that I say can be verified. We're a publicly traded company. Don't believe anything I say. Go prove it to yourself. Just go to NASDAQ, go do some research. Of course, you're going to see some sour grapes out there, but for the most part, eXp is just 100% positive, and people are just smoking it here. So this is something that no one's ever done before in over 100 years in real estate, and that's provide equity to the agents that are out selling houses. The numbers in yellow are what's called restricted stock. These are stocks that the company literally give us free. It's like free money. Okay, the only caveat is there's a 3-year vesting period. When I was with corporate America, we got stock, but it was a 7 to 10 year vesting period. So here it's only 3 years. And when I started 3.5 years ago, I thought, man, 3 years, that's a long time. Let me tell you, 3 years goes by like that. So I've got all this stock now that I could sell if I wanted to because it's fully vested, but I'm not going to. I'm going to wait till it goes back up, $50, $60, $70 a share and use that for retirement. Every year when you close your first transaction with eXp, you're going to get $200 in free shares of stock. So if the stock's trading $11 a share, the company will simply do the math and they'll give you that many shares that adds up to $200. That happens every year after January 1st. When you close your first deal, you'll get another $200 and you'll get an email saying you got another stock award. When you cap every year, which in most markets is about 7 to 9 closings, it's really not that much. It's about $2.6 million in closed sales volume. You're going to get an additional $400 in shares of stock. So again, that's just free money. That's $600. Can I ask this question? If somebody dropped 6 $100 bills on the sidewalk and nobody was around, would you pick them up? You probably would, right? So that's just free money that we get every single year. And then another way you can get a $400 in shares of stock is anytime you share this business model, this opportunity with other realtors, and they decide to partner up and come over to eXp and they name you as their sponsor, the person that shared this opportunity with them and had the biggest impact on their decision to move their business to eXp. When they close their first transaction, they're going to get $200 in shares of stock, but Glenn Sanford's going to give you $400 in shares of stock. And that's his way of saying, hey, thanks so much for bringing this great producing agent to eXp. Here's a stock award of $400. Now, you don't get that every year when they close their first deal like they do on their $200, but you don't have a limit on the number of agents that you can sponsor to eXp, so you can continue to get those. I think I've sponsored now over 55 agents to eXp. Every time one of them sells their first transaction, I get another email that says you just got another stock award. But here's the big kahuna. This is the one that shook the industry to its knees, and this is why we went from 600 agents to 86,000 agents in just a few years period of time. And that's called the Icon Agent Award. Those of you that were on in our first session, you met Mr. Merrick Davis. He's a 2-time Icon Award winner. I don't say winner, earner is a better word because he didn't win nothing. He earned it, right? But he's 23 and he's already gotten this twice now because he's been here for over 2 years. So when you cap and then you do 20 more transactions in a 12-month period of time, the company calls you up. They say, congratulations, you just qualified to be an Icon agent. They send you this giant glass trophy in the mail. But more importantly, they explain to you how you're going to be able to receive $16,000 in shares of stock. Now, if the stock is $11, $12 a share, divide that into 16,000. That will tell you how many shares of stock you're going to get. Let's say the stock goes up to $45 a share a year or two from now. Now you're creating net worth that you simply could not create at any other brokerage. And I got to tell this little funny story, and I don't mean to pick on my colleagues at Keller Williams, but it is a funny story. My friend said to me when he heard I was leaving Keller Williams, quitting my job as a team leader, moving to, excuse me, to eXp Realty, he said, Tony, that stock over there is crap. He goes, what if it goes down to zero? And it was at like $5.20. And I'm like, crap, it's $5.25. And it's not crap, but I'm like, whatever. He goes, what if it goes down to zero? I go, well, if it goes down to zero, that would be like I'm still at Keller Williams, right? Because you don't get any stock. What if it goes to $50 a share? And it went to $180 a share. And I called that guy up and I go, you remember that conversation we had when you said eXp stock was crap? He goes, I know. I've been watching it for the last 12 months. I knew you were going to call me someday. I'm like, I'm calling you because I'm going to tell you right now, you're a fool if you don't come over here and partner up with us. And he goes, okay. So he came over and joined me here at eXp. And that has revolutionized his financial life, as it will most of us that put our, hard work into this business. And then we have this awesome little program called Agent Equity Program. This is where you can literally give eXp permission. You can opt in and opt out at any time. It's voluntary, but I'd say most of us are in it. And basically, every time you close a deal and get your commission, the company pulls 5%, not 4, not 3, not 7, just 5. You can't do more than that. You can't do less than that. So if you made $10,000, they take $500 and they will go buy the stock for you at a 10% discount. Now, you can go to Robinhood or Charles Schwab or Ameritrade and pay full price if you want, or you can close deals at eXp and get 5% of your money buying stock at a 10% discount in the fastest growing real estate company in the world. This inflation is temporary, guys. This market is temporary. What goes up must come down. What expands must contract. I promise you in just a year or two, we're going to see this market turn around and this thing is going to blow up. So why is this agent equity program important? As a salesperson, as a professional salesperson for 40 plus years of my life, I can tell you that salespeople spend almost every penny they make and then some. And I had the dubious distinction, being the CEO of Keller Williams, 3 different franchises, to have my CFO hand me these letters from the Department of Economic Security. I didn't even know what that was. It sounded like an oxymoron. I'm like, what are these letters? They're like, these are all the agents that aren't paying their child support. And then she'd come in and go, we got another letter from the IRS. They want to garnish so-and-so's, wages. I'm like, why? Because they didn't pay their taxes. Okay, so I learned very quickly that realtors don't pay their taxes very good, and they don't pay their child support, and they spend most of their money. So to me, the agent equity program is a life vest that will save a lot of agents from financial madness. And that literally is money that you're using out of your commission. So it's not in yellow. That means you can sell this stock anytime you want. It's vested immediately. Matter of fact, my first year after my wife wanted a divorce, I needed to pay some taxes because I had to give her so much money. I was able to sell some of my shares of stock, paid off all my taxes, and I still have a ton of stock left over. So that is a beautiful program. It's optional. You don't have to be in it, but I would encourage all of you that are looking at eXp as an opportunity to strongly encourage to join the agent equity program. I keep watching the clock here because I'm getting a little long-winded, so I'll try and speed it up. Our agent referral program, this is called revenue sharing. Again, a first for the industry. Glenn Sanford created this because he could, because we don't have the overhead that all of our competition does. So from day one, Glenn Sanford has been giving back to our agents an agent referral commission called revenue share. 50% of every dollar this company brings in goes back to the agents that are helping us grow the company. So instead of paying someone like me, a team leader with Keller Williams, $250,000 a year to go out and recruit 188 agents a year, Glenn's saying, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to give every single realtor the opportunity to be their own team leader, to create their own team, and we're going to share 50% of every company dollar back to the agents that are helping us grow the company. So that agent referral program starts off with 3.5% commission. And those of you that understand the Keller Williams profit share program, this is based off of that, but it's not profit because profit is off the bottom. That's after you pay all your expenses, your salaries, your taxes, whatever's left. That gets shared at Keller Williams, which is tiny now because we keep taking their best producing agents, but we don't take them. They just come because they know the money is so much better here and the support, the training, and everything else. But it doesn't stop with just the agents that you bring in. You have the opportunity to literally build your own brokerage. I've got over 100 agents now. We got agents that have thousands of agents. We have agents that have tens of thousands of agents. But I've literally built a team now that's bigger than 90% of the brokerages in this country. And I don't know most of the agents that are part of my team. I haven't met them personally. I got 25, 30 agents in Canada that I've never met. Maybe 5 of them I've met. I've got agents in India that I've never met. But every time they sell a house, I hear cha-ching in my bank account. The rubies get converted in India to American dollars and goes into my bank account. That's all I know. So 50% of every dollar gets shared back, and you literally can get paid 7 tiers down. That's about all I'm going to spend on that because I'm literally going to spend another, half hour, 40 minutes in our next session. If you want to stay around, you certainly can. That's going to start here in 15 minutes. And so I'm going to break down revenue share and really go into that more in depth. If you want to know more, I would highly encourage you to stick around. I made this slide. Let me just go back because in Arizona, where I just moved from, our board fees are about $550 a year. Our MLS dues are about $395. Our super key, so we can do the lockbox, is about $250. And eXp has a very small monthly fee of $85 a month. So if you multiply that times 12, that's $1,020 just by bringing one agent that does about 8 or 9 deals a year or more. You're literally going to be paid enough revenue share, $2,800. You'll still have money left over. So why do you want to pay your board fees in MLS when eXp can pay them for you, right? And that's why I made this slide, because I want to make sure we've got board dues coming up right now. We got MLS dues, right? There's a lot of agents that are going to fall out of this business in the next couple of months. Literally tens of thousands of agents are going to quit in the next 2 months because they're scared. They don't know what to do. They're not making any money. They're not having any closings because they're with the wrong brokerage. Frankly, we're not scared. We're not scared at eXp. We're cruising through this recession, whatever you want to call it. We're making money. We're closing deals. We're having a record-breaking year. We're not concerned about interest rates going up to 8%. Hell, I remember when they were 18%. 8% is just that's just play money, right? They're going to come back down. They're going to go up. They're going to go just like this because that's what happens in real estate. But our revenue share gives you the opportunity every single year, just with one person, one friend that you bring over that caps, which means they close about 2.6 million, to have all of your expenses covered every year by the brokerage through our revenue share program. I love that. All right, let's wrap it up. We don't have desk fees. I have a lot of friends. I won't mention the brokerage, but I'll just say fee max. We'll say that. And they're paying for desk fees. I talked to this one agent, $1,200 a month. I'm like, man, that must be a nice desk. And she goes, I don't even have a desk. I don't even get a desk. I go, then what the hell are you doing paying desk fees for, right? But this is the way it works. And these old models from the 1960s and 70s are still doing that. Royalties fees, franchise fees, even at my former brokerage, agents that have been there for 10 years that have capped, they paid $30,000 to Gary Keller in franchise fees, 3% of their commission, 6% of their commission, up to $3,000 every single year. I'm sorry, but my family is worth a lot more than the founder of other brokerages, right? And I'd rather keep that in my bank account than some founder of some other brokerage. So we don't have any of those kind of fees. All we have is an 80-20 split. You cap at 2.6 million, about 7 or 8 houses. You go to 100% commission. You never pay the brokerage more than $16,000 because that is our cap. There's a one-time fee of $149. That covers everything. There's about 7 apps you download on your phone: that Workplace, Regis, Spaces, 1,000 business cards, 25 listing presentation, Verbella, 80 hours a week of training, all that. Access to your brokers in evenings and weekends, $149. Our monthly fee is included in that the first month. So that $149 covers it all. The $85, $50 is for technology. I'm sorry, for training. $35 is for our technology. Together, it's $50. We call that the cloud brokerage fee. That starts in month 2, 100% tax deductible. The way we pay our brokers is through a $25 Broker review fee, every time you close a deal and you get a commission, the company simply removes 25 bucks, and that's how we pay our brokers. Very interesting. I thought it was pretty creative, actually. And errors and omissions insurance, my former brokerage, we had no cap on that. It was $40 per transaction. I know a lady that closes over 500 houses a year at Keller Williams. She pays over $20,000 a year in E&O. If she were to come to eXp, she would only pay $500 a year because we cap it at $500 a year. So that's a moneymaker for a lot of brokerages out there, just like most insurance is, right? So that's our startup cost. For those of you that have been on tonight, you certainly can go to join.exprealty.com. That's where it all happens. That's where you fill out your application, your independent contractor agreement, your W-9. Get back to the person that invited you on tonight for sure and get your questions answered. I think we have about 5 minutes, Samantha, that we can go ahead and open up the line. So if there are guests on, or if anybody wants to just say something or ask a question or make a comment, we have about 5 minutes, and we're going to take a 5-minute intermission, and then I'm going to come back for another 30 minutes or so and really kind of break down our revenue share program. Because at eXp, we have 3 businesses. We have a revenue share business, we have a real estate business, and we have a lead generation business. If you don't have a solid lead generation business, you don't have those other 2 businesses, right? But you can literally create a multiple six-figure income through our revenue share program. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, come back. I have a little different take on it than I think most people do. I'll share that with you guys here in about 10 minutes, all right? So Samantha, let's go ahead and open up the lines. If anybody has any comments or questions. Give me a little feedback. I haven't even looked at the chat bar. Let me go down there and look at that. Let's see if I can get my cursor to work. Might have some questions in there. All right, let's see here. I got to jump. Okay, thank you. Great. All right, looks like we're good there on the chat. So any questions or comments? You guys are worn out. Or there's nobody on here, one of the two. Oh, there's a few of you on here, so that's good. All right, guys, if you don't mind, I'm just going to take a little break, get my voice back, hopefully go drink some lemonade, and I'll be back here 9 minutes from now. So we'll take just a little break here and start our intermission since we don't have any comments or questions, and I will see those of you that are going to turn the corner here in just a few minutes. All right, take care. We'll see you in just a bit.